When my mother-in-law called me barren, she said it while pouring me tea, like she was doing me a favor. The steam rose between us, soft and polite, and she smiled that church lady smile that never reached her eyes. Some women, she whispered, stirring sugar into my cup, just aren't meant to be mothers. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just sat there holding that warm cup, feeling like something inside me had been quietly buried. For 3 years, Daniel and I had been trying for a baby. We marked calendars, whispered prayers, bought tiny socks on clearance racks like we were rehearsing hope. And every month when nothing happened, his mother would sigh, oh, loud enough for everyone to hear. At church, at family dinners, even at the grocery store once. Poor Daniel, she'd say. He wants children so badly. Daniel never corrected her. That silence hurt more than her words. Still, I loved him. And love makes you patient in ways that sometimes break you slowly. Our life was simple. Small apartment above a laundromat. The smell of detergent floating through the vents. Daniel cooking over-seasoned chicken on Fridays. Me folding his shirts while old jazz played in the background. We laughed. We held hands. We dreamed. So when the doctor told me I was perfectly healthy, I cried with relief. Daniel squeezed my hand and smiled. His tests, the doctor said, would come later. They never did. Somehow, that part just disappeared. But his mother's comments got sharper. One night she leaned close and whispered, "If you loved my son, you'd let him find someone who can give him a child." I went home and cried into Daniel's shirt. He held me and said, "Don't listen to her." But he never asked her to stop. The first strange thing came quietly. Daniel started working late. Then later. Then always. He stopped talking about babies. Stopped touching my stomach when we lay in bed. Started sleeping with his phone turned face down. One night, I woke up thirsty and saw him on the balcony, whispering into the dark. When he saw me, he looked afraid. "Work stuff," he said. I wanted to believe him. So I did. Because trust is easier than truth. Until the envelope came. No return address. Just my name written in shaky blue ink. Inside was an ultrasound picture. And underneath it one sentence. He said you couldn't have children. My hand started shaking so badly I dropped it. When Daniel came home, I was sitting on the kitchen floor holding that tiny gray image. He looked at it. And his face went empty. Like someone turned off a light inside him. I didn't scream. I just asked, "How long?" He sank into a chair and covered his face. 6 months, he whispered. 6 months, while his mother called me barren. 6 months, while I prayed for a child that already existed. With another woman. I thought heartbreak would feel loud. Dramatic. Like something breaking. But it felt quiet. Like winter. The next Sunday, Lorraine invited us to dinner like nothing had happened. Roast chicken. Mashed potatoes. Her lace tablecloth. Halfway through the meal, she sighed loudly and said, "Daniel deserves a real family someday." That's when I slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a DNA test. Daniel's name. The baby's name. And 99.9% certainty. Lorraine's fork clattered against her plate. She stared at the paper, then at her son, then at me. "I didn't know," she whispered. But her eyes told me she did. She knew when she called me barren. She knew when she told people I was broken. She knew when she protected her son instead of telling him to be a man. Daniel started crying. Real crying. Ugly, shaking sobs. "I'm sorry," he said. "I was scared." Mom said. "Don't," I said softly. "Don't blame her for your choices." The room was quiet except for the ticking clock. I stood up, folded my napkin, and said, "I'm leaving. Not because I can't have children, but because you don't deserve to be their father." I walked out into the cool evening air, and for the first time in months, I breathed. The divorce was slow, painful, but clean. The other woman had the baby. A little boy with Daniel's eyes. I sent a small gift. Not out of love, but because children deserve kindness, even when adults fail them. Lorraine tried to call me later. I didn't answer. Months passed. Then one afternoon at the library, a little girl tugged my sleeve and asked me to read her favorite story. Her head smelled like strawberry shampoo. She leaned against my arm like she trusted me completely. And I realized something. Motherhood isn't only about blood. It's about love you choose to give. I started volunteering at the children's reading program, then fostering. Then one day, I adopted a little boy who needed a home. When I held him for the first time, tiny fingers wrapped around mine, I didn't think about Lorraine. I didn't think about Daniel. I just thought life finds its way to honest hearts. So, if someone ever tries to tell you that you're not enough, remember this. Sometimes the people who accuse you of being broken are just hiding their own shame. Tell me, if you were in my place, would you have walked away the same way? If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs strength today, and don't forget to subscribe for more real stories about love, betrayal, and healing.